All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Beastars Season 2, Episode 8. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Haha, last episode.
We got some trauma last episode, some depression, some freaking terrifying backstory, and just like...
I'm sorry, Piglet.
Yeah. Reese, our
bear.
Our bear boy. Wow. Honey pickled memories indeed. Preserved in the thing that, alleviates my, yeah. All right. Well, okay. Now, a couple people know about this now. PETA, you were a legend last episode. But you love to dance with death. With death, yeah. So, Legoshi knows, Pina knows, this could spiral out of control rather quickly.
What happens now?
Or is this going to get, Hexai involved? I
don't know.
Okay, but yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Oh boy.
All right, what can we say?
Yeah.
This episode was jam-packed with stuff to talk about.
Yep.
So, Sheila, a character that we kind of forgot about for a little bit.
She got her little focus. She was mentioned in season 1.
She was mentioned as one of the people that has a secret, a backstory, and the reason why Louis gathered this eclectic group of people for the drama club is because they all kind of had something that they were kind of keeping inside.
Yeah.
Sheila, we find out, is holding in a lot of anger and frustration with the idea that she has to basically put on this farce, this act, when around herbivores. And a lot of the things that she's just passively doing, or carnivores just seem to be passively doing, are getting shamefully looked upon, or she's having to deal with all this pressure.
Or it's something where people are looking at her as a carnivore, not as an actual person.
As a person,
They want a picture with her because, hey, then we've got a carnivore and a herbivore in the same picture. That gets clicks, right? As opposed to, hey,
or we're actually friends with you.
Hence the whole thing that was so wonderful of, oh, this is actually a really good picture. I don't know if I want to post it. I know I'm going to post it.
Right. And we saw from the interactions with Peach and Sheila that Peach very much is dealing with her own side of things that she's hiding, is that she was scared of Sheila. And the idea that,
when she grabbed her arm, it's like, I'll placate you and say, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. But they actually got to connect and become a little bit, a little bit closer. Friends. Yeah, a little bit of friends there. And that's really sweet because that's something that's only possible if one side basically takes the initial step. And goes into the uncertainty of, I'm just going to do what I can to connect here. Now, is it possible to fully, truly understand another person? Who's to say? But at the very least, we can make efforts. We can try. And
do our best.
In that, there is no weakness. There is no shame. There is nothing there. That is one of the most human things we can do.
Sure.
Is attempt basically to understand one another through the connection that we're all people.
And in fact, one of the big ways that you can connect with somebody is by showing that weakness, right? Because this is kind of using the term weakness in a very loose way, right?
Yeah.
But all the little things that they have to deal with, right? That Sheila and Peach had to deal with.
Static electricity on polyester.
Static electricity. Not being able to wear patterned clothing. Like things like that, right? It's stuff. There's the actual thing that they need to put up with, but what they're really sharing is that it's something that bothers them, right?
Yes, exactly.
Hence, weakness.
Struggles.
Right, struggles. Yeah, exactly. And in that, we can, people can come together.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, there's an understanding surrounding, and again, I'm going to use another term that's a bit dramatic, but in a loose way, but suffering is that is one of the great things that we all experience on some level. Sure. Now, a lot of people don't experience it that much. Like, a lot of people understand it a lot. But in the idea of connecting, that there are different ways in which we suffer or struggle or what have you, sharing that, even if you don't understand how that could be considered a struggle or suffering or what have you.
The Cayman or whatever that's having his testicles ripped off might think, oh,
you can't wear patterned clothing?
You can't.
Wow.
It bothers you to be in a picture with the herbivores? Oh no!
I have to literally sell my body parts in order to get by,
and I don't know what they're gonna take. You know, it's just sure, yeah, I need this amount of money. Don't do anything.
Yeah, limit it to these sections. One of them.
Please make it so that I can still work. Please,
Jesus.
You followed what I said, but did you have to choose that?
Yeah. I better get paid well for that.
Yeah.
I'm never growing those back.
Right.
Jesus.
Hopefully I don't have to go see a loan shark.
That whole part was so screwed up in so many levels. I want to localize that conversation for later in the discussion. Let's talk about the more wholesome thing and also more awkward thing that happened with Juno and Haru.
Yeah.
Now, we will get to the Legoshi stuff.
Right.
But Legoshi stuff, I feel like...
That was actually fairly straightforward.
It was really straightforward.
There's not as much complexity to get into there because it's, okay, he's realizing that there's other weapons he has at his disposal other than his jaws. So, cool, and there are ways that he can basically train and also be helping other carnivores potentially.
Yeah.
Even though, damn, you really beamed that guy against the wall.
That's the strength, though, that he's gained, is he's moved it away from the things that allows him to be carnivorous and towards the thing that allows him to protect other people.
Right.
Yeah. And yes, protecting sometimes means you are a bit of a threat that is going to spiral out of control, not just to hurt others, but to hurt yourself. So
there were those crazy patches of flesh torn away on the carnivore. So yeah.
So.
But Haru and
Cool
Juno.
development with Legoshi, but Haru and Juno, oh my god, this was a scene.
That was great.
Oh my god, there's so many things going on here.
Yeah, because when at its simplest form, right? We've got
two girls
Juno,
talking about a guy, or
two girls basically talking about a guy, right? And
let's peel it back.
Yeah, because Juno has always been really good at putting on the persona,
putting on the face
of what she wants.
She's very likable,
and I'm really glad that we got into the whole thing of her wanting carnivores and herbivores to be separate, right? Because we got sort of inklings and inclinations of her perspective on things from the festival before, but because the whole thing with Legoshi didn't work out, because Louie's gone and things like that, she has kind of lost the wind in her sails, right? And now it's
who's her ideal hero that she can look towards and
who's someone I can struggle against, who's even if they're not technically a carnivore like Louie, right? Like Louie wasn't, but she was still able to compete with him, right? She can still do the whole thing of snapping the social jaws, right? And being like, all right, let's play, let's fight.
Pretty dang magnetic. Like he had charisma and he was a leader.
Yep. And so now it's the whole thing of, wait, but then there's this little
small,
rabbit,
weak, tiny little rabbit,
creature.
And I am drawn to her.
And she goes about her life as if she's got everything figured out. What is this?
What is this?
What is this?
I
what
love
is it that
so
Legoshi
much.
sees in her, right?
Yeah, because one of the things that you look at this from the negative standpoint is you're worried Juno might hurt Haru.
Yeah.
Just because, one, we saw what happens when a carnivore tugs the arm of a herbivore just a little bit too hard.
And Haru is a very small herbivore.
Very small.
Yeah.
So that moment where you see Juno putting her hands
with
on
the
Haru's
claws,
face,
and they're
and
right
Haru
near
just
the eyes.
Freezes.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there are a couple smaller herbivore animals basically where they will have that moment of where it's not fear in the terror sense, but it's I'm paranoid.
Right,
something could be in my environment. They just kind of stop. Their ears go taut, and they just kind of.
It's the difference in the worlds of the creatures, right? Because Juno fear is not a part of her daily life.
Not really.
It just isn't,
it
right?
Really isn't.
She has her own ambitions, frustrations, things like that, and definitely problems
she has
and
worries
struggles that she's going through, right?
She has worries.
Right,
yeah,
worries.
Not really fears.
But not fear. Right?
Not physical based fear.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that one of the reasons why I think it makes herbivores in this world so magnetic to carnivores in a certain way.
Sure.
Is because if a carnivore was to live in fear, right? A big bear comes up and basically says, I am bigger than you and you will submit, right? That's something carnivores I feel like aren't as used to dealing with because they're carnivores.
They probably have some exceptions, but it's very, very probably not a societally big problem.
Less, right? Whereas with herbivores, they're so unbelievably used to it, right? That the whole thing that Peach did of, I'm scared right now, but I'm going to say yes with a smile, and it's not difficult to do. It's a practiced thing. I'm comfortable with this because I understand that, I'm scared. Maybe she wanted to make me scared. Maybe she didn't. Regardless, this just because she made me scared doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to eat me. So I'm going to try and dance within that world realm of being terrified for my life.
Because it is a little safer for me to say yes, which is in of itself a really screwed up situation. But also it showcases some of the security within living in the weakness of being just kind of reflexive with saying yes to a request from a carnivore to hang out or something like that. But then you have with Haru and wow, I can't Juno. Wow, for some reason I kept wanting to say Zoe, but that was just because we brought up the name Zoe randomly when we were trying to find our notes for Sheila. Yeah. But Haru kind of positioned herself multiple times to where she was like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?
Yeah,
can you help me with this?
That like,
yeah, I got you.
A canine is here,
Yes. You love to help people, don't you?
It'd really help me out if you were to, come over here and...
Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl?
Right.
It's like, damn it. My need for
tails
approval.
wagging frantically. Stop it.
That's not fair. Yeah.
Right.
Then it's like, wait, did these come from domesticated? Is this the deep lore of Beastars? No. Anyway, jokes aside, what we saw here, though, was someone who was weak, basically then finding someone who is strong and relying upon them, asking them for help, but in the sense that the weakness was then something that gave them an opportunity to be powerful because the person who was strong felt compelled to help.
And yet at the same time, once Juno is actually helping her out, then Haru goes and gets the box with the rake or whatever, and literally could have been squished there. Now, granted, rabbits are fast. I'm sure if it actually started to fall, she would have been like, whoop, hop back.
Yeah, she was in zero danger, but she put herself into that situation probably just to see how Juno would respond.
Oh, that's totally possible too.
Yeah.
But it's the idea that she is comfortable being in that place, right?
Yeah.
That was
That's
was
nothing
such
shameful.
It was such a regular thing for her. She didn't even think about the fact that she was doing it. Whereas Juno's like, you could have died.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, I could die all the time, right? Like that's
I risk my life to
slack off.
Yeah.
That was a great line.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
But it's one of those things where it's easy for carnivores
for the sake of slacking.
Right, for the sake of slacking, right?
Yeah.
I'd work all day if it meant nothing got done. But courage is not being immune to fear, right? But it's acting in the presence of fear, right? And there is something that of course Juno finds it magnetic when she's like, this girl is completely fine with the fact that she is in total danger, even around me, right? When I put my hands around her face and everything, Juno was perfectly aware, Haru is perfectly aware that at any point she could just and Haru would be done, right?
Yeah.
But when it's over, when Haru realizes like that this is definitely not that type of situation, right? The hands just alter their positioning just a little bit to where it's more like cupping her face than like grabbing her face.
Yeah, like, you're so cute. Yeah, that must be what.
Then it's
you.
Yeah. Hey, then it's all happy fun times. It's all good, right?
Yeah, I love that this is kind of the moment where we get Juno's realization that she's not strong. And that's kind of my thing that I loved about this scene is the role reversal, basically. And they've done this many times with Louis, and it's powerful as hell in season 1, and they've been doing it a bit here in season 2 as well. But when you have a character who, from the offset of just the visuals, the presentation of the character in general on the surface, they are strong.
Yeah.
But when they are put in the room, so to speak, the gardening club here, with another character who looks like she should be weak, suddenly you realize, wait, no, Haru's the strong one here.
Sure.
She didn't flinch really that much at all from that moment of what could have been pure terror for someone like Peach, maybe. If Sheila had done that exact same thing, maybe Peach wouldn't have been able to hold off her defensive instinct. But Haru has plenty of experience, so that's
Oh, yeah.
not something that's really a problem for her. And she's also had like her life nearly like threatened and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
She's
Haru's
had
been through some
she's
shit.
had a
like, yeah.
right, exactly. It's like, I can almost see like Haru like pretend like putting on like a grizzled voice of like, oh, if you knew the things I'd seen,
Popping a cigar,
right, exactly. You learn to live with it,
But seriously though,
Mm-hmm.
the idea then that she then realizes when thinking of Louis, I don't have it in me. I can't be
Right.
Louis. I can't be a Beastar if I'm going to live like this.
Because I don't actually want herbivores and carnivores to be together. I
Right.
don't want them to be equal.
Right. I don't necessarily want to be weak.
Right.
And this is a thing that I really love about a lot of the characters here, is that there are characters where you can tell that they are hiding their weakness. And that is kind of the point of this this episode, I would say, is
Okay,
that
yeah,
learning
yeah.
to deal with your weakness.
Sure.
And it's not weakness in that your physicality just necessarily.
Yeah, it could be all sorts of things, yeah.
It could be a thing where you realize that the past you is your weakness. It's the thing that you used to be, but
Right.
you maybe want to leave behind because you are aware of your capacity to change.
Yep.
And a lot of the characters that we've seen thus far have been undergoing very intentional, focused change. Legoshi, Louis, Haru in even a small, slight way, but definitely Juno.
Even though he wasn't in this episode.
Yeah, even though he wasn't in this episode, yeah.
Riz has been going through some shit, Like, yeah. And even Ibuki, right? With him talking about
yeah.
how, no, I know what it's like to be at rock bottom. He shows the thing of the, this part is for, good fatigue, anti-fatigue or whatever, right? Yeah. Like,
yeah, I just love the idea that all these characters have their issues that they're dealing with, right? And like a good proper drama, there's tons of introspection. There's tons of moments where the characters are going to look internally and measure themselves and judge themselves based on some aspect of their weakness, because this is one of the great flaws of human beings, is that we have this thing called shame. And shame has tons of negative aspects, and maybe the slightest kinds of positive aspects if you wanted to argue it.
yeah,
but
it's about as
it's about as bad as it gets, especially from the mental, psychological side of things. But it can point at the problems really well.
Sure.
If you are a mature, healthy person, you can point at those things and realize, oh, for some reason I feel shame regarding this.
Right.
Oh,
there's something to work on there.
There's something to work on, exactly, because it's a very glaring, big, just shame kind of arrests you in that regard.
Sure.
So I love here that Juno has no idea why she's here. She is so lost and confused with all of this.
Yep. Confused is a great way of putting it. There's a line from the movie Serenity that comes to mind of, you spin me about, right? And like she is a ship lost at sea right now, and she's like, what do? I'm not even sure like the maps and everything that I've been using even work anymore, and what do I do, and why is it that certain people seem like they have things figured out? Right,
and there's a very world-related thing as to why this conversation is being brought up in a dramatic way, is that because of the incidents, they're starting to go back to probably what was the original way of doing things, which is forcing segregation between the carnivores and the herbivores.
And we know from last episode that Cherry-Chin is actually rather exceptional with that regard.
Exactly.
It's one of the few that actually does not co-ed, but mixed herbivore and carnivore.
Yeah, and they're actually starting to protest a little bit by having the clubs perform even more integrated related stuff here. And Juno's got a plot-related thing that's being set up for later stuff, with potentially being the next lead character.
Yes.
In the drama play.
And I'm very curious how they would use that play, given that they already had 2 episodes focused on the play with Adler and all that stuff, and the second one being where it went off script. So I'm very curious what they would do with that for story theme stuff.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple ways you could spin it and stuff. I think the main point, though, is that the school needs something of a kind of a unifying message to
yeah,
go for all
rallying cry
for all the students. And then if all the students kind of come behind it, there could be a really cool thing where Cherryton just kind of stiffs it to the uppers or whatever and be like, nah, screw you. This is who we are. And Louis not being there for that, it's kind of impressive in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And in some ways, Louis might be the symbol that they rally behind in a little ways for that, and using Adler as kind of the point of reference, because Louis did kind of carry the I am Adler
in the image of why Adler was important.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the Louis stuff now. I've actually plenty of more I could say about the Juno and Haru stuff.
It's really good stuff. I'm very excited to see where Juno's arc will take her, and also how Haru plays into the other characters' lives, because so far she's the of the three main characters of Legoshi, Louis, and Haru, she is the one who doesn't really have an arc right now, and that's probably because she isn't struggling like with like some
a lot of her life is actually going really well.
And when I say struggling, she is struggling, but it's with external stuff. The internal stuff she's pretty close to figured out.
Yeah, she's doing pretty well with that regard there. But we get this cool little connection piece there where both Haru and Louis think about the same thing at the same time in a very romantic kind of way here. But it's the idea that they both would taste good because they're both weak creatures, and it's very relaxing to be around another weak creature.
Yeah.
Because they both are oftentimes, especially in the beginning of the show, putting on airs of strength.
Right.
When they would much rather prefer to be weak.
Yep.
And very different reasons.
Yep.
But in a lot of ways because they have experience being predated upon.
Yes.
In different ways, obviously, but it's a very similar kind of throughput of, yes.
Well, no, they're done feeling weak because bad things happen when they show weakness.
Right.
But at the same time,
we can be safe in our weakness to each other.
Right. We need to have a place where we can accept that part of ourselves and live in it. And if anything, that's what I would say is the fatal flaw of Louis so far, which is why I love the Ibuki's in this story.
Yes, I love Ibuki
because
so
he's
much.
The foil to that is that Louis is desiring strength, and he is achieving strength. He is taking it on, right? And it's a sight to see, right? But it's okay to be weak too. Acknowledging weakness is a form of strength in and of itself. If you don't acknowledge your own weakness, then you become brittle, and you can't take. Even if you take the hits, eventually there will come a point where you break.
Right.
And that won't be pretty.
It
right?
will not be pretty.
It will not be pretty at all. No. In this situation here, Ibuki, he's like, yeah, no, I've been at rock bottom. I know what it looks like.
Yep.
I know what it feels like.
Yep.
And I came back from that. And now, his strength, even though he's a lion, right, one of the most powerful creatures there are, right, it's a lot different than the kind of strength you're looking for, Louis. So,
we need to talk about though the incident.
Yes.
In the dark market here. So we have seen beings in the past kind of give this this look here where they look like they're just hungering for something that's not theirs, but they're like, I need that. And I believe that this goat, is actually I believe that this goat reminds me almost a little bit of the one who is at the dark market offering the fingers.
Well,
right?
let's check to see if it ever shows his hands, because he definitely has that same kind of like look on his face. But
it's not the same guy.
Yeah, he's got all his fingers.
But it's just one of those things where instead of it being the boys going out to the dark market and be like, oh, this is what's going on here.
All right, we can split one. Yeah.
Right. It's instead now the herbivore wanting to eat something from the
have the little experiments or whatever with those terrifying mice doctors, which if you've ever seen Rescuers Down Under, I feel like this was lifted straight from that movie. Like one of my favorite scenes in that movie, it's just an excellent scene, is where you have all these adorable little mice, and they're so cute, and they've
so
got their little
funny.
nurse uniforms, and then they start
got
bringing
the
out
albatross in the
like a
vice
straight
grip.
jacket, while they're trying to operate on him, and then they start bringing out shotguns and chainsaws and and things like that for operating on him.
Regulator.
And
Get me the epidermal.
here we go.
Get me the epidermal tissue disruptor. The epidermal what? I can quote so much of that movie. Oh my god,
it's an excellent scene. Even if you don't watch the movie, check out that scene. It's amazing.
So funny.
But holy shit, the fact that it had that same sort of style of like these tiny little adorable creatures that are going to do terrifying
genitals.
Yeah. Like, oh my god, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Now, what I love about this is that we have Louis basically say, "Hey,
Ibuki,
hey,
what are you doing?
No. Yeah,
Late to play the Guardian.
Yeah. I'm already in this.
I've already killed people. I've already I've done all sorts of stuff.
But Ibuki has the little sweat drip, of just like, oh, I'm sorry, I overstepped my bounds, but also just the care and just
because he used to be that Cayman.
Yeah. And we get that reveal, and it's so simple.
Yep. But I didn't even fully realize in the episode what it was implying because I didn't notice all the markings and stuff on the Cayman before. But then when we went back, it was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I love the line delivery, not the line delivery, but the line written here of, okay, I know what it's like, or we both know what it's like to be at rock bottom, but I ran away all on my own and made it all the way up here. Because he was asking whether, Louis was going to jump, and Louis was just like, what makes you think that?
Yeah. I'm enjoying the sights, getting perspective.
Right. I'm feeling like I'm above all this now.
Right.
And yet, in some ways, he basically, not in the direct sense where it has to be the only interpretation, but this is a loose little bit I got. What he kind of equated was getting up here to be above it all. It might be something to the equivalent
the line
of
between
realizing
the two might be it might be finer than you think.
The separation, the distance, the disconnect, if you will.
Sure.
The idea that he was so wrapped up in his life, in this way of living that was his only way of surviving, and he's now grown past it. He no longer needs to utilize his body in that way in order to survive.
Yeah.
But what is living now? You've experienced that. You've been through that. Doesn't that still define you? Are you ever really above it?
I mean, okay, the fact that he still has the markings on his arm, it's possible that it's tattoos. I don't think it is.
I think that it's something that he very much could take off, but it would be maybe something that's not as easy though.
But it's a choice of his that he keeps it.
That's true.
Because it's a reminder, right? It's to keep him grounded, so that way he's like, yeah,
I could go back to that if I don't.
That is the stick that I'm avoiding, right?
That is the weakness that I will never experience again.
Right. That is the thing that I have beaten, and I will continue to beat it every day
with strength. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the terrifying thing here, is that I think that some of the characters in this story being kids, if you will, compared to a lot of more the adult characters.
At the very least, young adults,
if we were to compare Ibuki and Gohin to Legoshi and Louis, there's a very clear, adult child kind of dynamic there. Even though Legoshi and Louis are very much young adults in every sense
they're still figuring things out. They're grappling with things and wrestling with problems and
They don't have the value of experience and years under their belt of just, this is my life thus far. However, the idea that he's like, I ran all the way on my own and made it all the way up here, he's in some way saying, I got away, but I've never lost sight of it. I'm still able to see it right there. And any day could be that day where I'm up here.
Okay.
And I think about it. Because I don't think Louis is able to fully separate himself from his weakness of his past. It constantly haunts him.
Yeah, and the reason it haunts him is because he doesn't let go of it. He's still holding on to it.
Yeah, and he still holds on to it tight.
Right, and that's the it's the same issue with Juno, right? With her thing. She hasn't let go of the fact that Legoshi isn't interested in her.
Yep.
And as a result, she's obsessed with Haru, right? Yeah. She's lost, right? Yep. With Sheila, she wasn't able to let go of the fact that she like her friend wanted to take pictures with her and post it to Beastbook, by the way, it's great. And as a result, she got frustrated by it, and then she started to lash out, right? In Louis' situation, he has not let go of the fact that he was originally food. He was going to be bait, right?
Yeah.
He has not let go of the fact that his father took him in because he wanted someone to mold, basically, right? That's why when he confronted his father, he had to pull out the gun, because his father still had a hold on him, right?
Yeah. He didn't feel strong in that instance.
He didn't feel like his own person, truly.
Right.
And while the violent rejection of the pre-established order in the past that you come from is a way to separate yourself from it, you're still defining yourself by it, right?
Right.
And that's why it's maybe a step in the right direction to break the initial change, but then you gotta go back into that middle, that balance.
Yeah, and that is in some ways where Legoshi is headed.
Sure.
Legoshi is basically willing to listen to the lessons of Gohin and submit himself to a very strict regimen, which is in some ways his own form of over-exaggeration in one direction. But it will gain him mastery over himself in that specific area.
It gives him certain other benefits. And while there was a part of me that thinks that thought that we might get to a point where Legoshi actually is able to consume meat in a way that isn't some violation of his internal code or whatever. Probably not going to go there. But, this is a lesson that Louis needs to learn. And better to learn it now while you have someone who will actually be there for you and care for you and remind you of this stuff.
And he made a step.
He did.
Made a step. And I like the fact that he chose this. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Let me take this. This is a choice that he made that was in reaction to the idea that these parts of his past haunt him.
Right.
But if his choice is to completely immerse himself in this world, he can't basically decide to just half-ass it.
Sure.
He needs to fully immerse himself. The fact that he still had his old phone shows that he's not really fully immersed in it yet. And so he lets go of it, drops it. It's very, much his Shakespearean dramatic actor kind of thing. If this means something.
Mic drop.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, it's right when Haru calls him, so it might be a bit reactionary.
Sure.
But the choice was made. He's not going to go back and pick up that phone.
Oh, no, definitely not. But the reason why I would say it's not it is a choice, and it is progress for him in a particular direction, but it's not addressing his fatal flaw, I feel like, because there is the part of him. Well, okay,
but none of them are addressing their fatal flaws. That's not the point of them. What they're going for is basically learning to live with weakness. And all of them have to acknowledge where their weak points are.
But that's the thing. I don't think Louis is doing that. I think he's specifically doing the opposite.
Okay.
Where he's denying the weakness of himself and denying even the desire that he had for that.
Okay.
And that could be potentially a really good thing for him, because if he's trying to transform himself into a new person, then this is a way to really break down the old and stuff, so that way he can figure out what he really wants, needs, and desires, and all of that stuff. And if he does have any weaknesses, is he okay with that, and where does it come from?
Right. Remember, when we talk about weakness, we're not talking about something that is an actual negative thing. No. Haru is not that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Haru is a weakness necessarily. I'm saying that Haru for him is a reminder of that part of him that he's still struggling with in the moment there. So he needs to basically push it aside for now, so he doesn't get distracted on what he's actually focusing on.
Right. I think that Louis sees Haru as a weakness, and he sees the version of him that was with her and enjoyed being weak as a weakness.
Right, so he's trying to kill it.
Right, and that's where I think the conversation, what Ibuki's saying, is kind of being missed by Louis, because Ibuki is being the person where he's saying, "Hey, you can be weak around me. I will shield your eyes. I'll bring you a salad. I'll talk to you about this stuff because he feels it's helpful, right?" Ibuki feels that this will help Louis in some way, right? That it's something that Louis isn't addressing, right? With the food, it was a very literal, tangible, measurable. You're not addressing this, and it is actively hurting you, and it's not sustainable, right? And Louis in some ways, because of his own convictions or stubbornness or whatever you want to call it, is like
forget and move on.
Wants to forget and move on, right? And even then, now he kind of does like accept the sort of the offering from Ibuki by saying want to go drinking, right? Which is, I'm sure, a place where they'll commiserate and and open up a bit and
forget.
Sure, that
drinking
too.
is very common, used as a way to basically cope with the feelings that you're dealing with.
Right, depending on to what degree you do it and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. But I'm just saying, like, that's one of the ways to take it. The idea though that Louis is putting something away though, that's what all the other characters are doing though. None of them are directly solving their weakness. What I'm trying to bring up as a point is that Louis is not like going towards balance, like Legoshi is, or anything like that. Like he's going towards an area where he pushes and tries to conquer his weakness by basically saying, I'm letting go of Haru in the past and stuff. So in that way, he is surpassing that. Legoshi, for instance, is ignoring a part of who he is and suppressing it for the purpose of gaining a new strength. It's not healthy from the standpoint of being a wolf.
Yes, for sure.
So it's not like some kind of grand, better way of doing it.
No.
The difference is that he's listening to Gohin's, training with regards to it. And Louis, as you're saying, is not. However, what he is doing is basically saying this thing that has been a source of weakness, just like the jaw kind of carnivorous aspects of Legoshi could be considered a weakness. I'm going to toss it aside.
Right, and that's probably where also my little bit of not frustration with Legoshi, but I don't know exactly what the right word for it is. Where I think like Legoshi is he's going through a learning process that is important for him, because this is the path that he will take in order to figure things out. Right, but it's the things, these topics, these weaknesses essentially will probably need to get revisited at some point.
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's the thing though. We don't go towards the right solution the first time.
Right. That's not life,
That's not life. Yeah.
And if anything, that's probably
these are all struggles.
Right. And that's probably Haru's biggest strength, is that she's accepted that. Right? Of, it's
okay to screw up.
It's okay to screw up. Yeah. Oh man, it really would be nice it really is nice to be talking with another female like this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess that's over.
I gave him my fair shot,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not like completely broken down because I got rejected essentially by it.
Sure.
Yeah. It was an attempt. It was a struggle, and I put myself out there. And that's kind of where all of them share that similarity, is that they're all putting out their struggle with their weakness, and just some of them have different directions that they take it than others, and we just get to explore that through the medium of their kind of their context and their story.
Well, because yes, but I feel like a lot of the times a lot of the characters are struggling with their weakness rather than working to integrate their weakness. If that makes sense?
I don't think any of them are working to integrate their weakness. Like who of them are which of them are working to integrate their weakness? That's the thing. I feel like that's where we talked about the pendulum swing, where they basically decided, I will abandon my weakness.
Right.
My weakness.
Yeah.
To focus on another strength, which doesn't lead to balance in the middle.
No.
But eventually, you can't swing this way, without eventually coming back a little bit.
Right,
so,
and then, Yeah,
and we're using metaphors in here. The point is that they're all struggling with their weakness, and they're choosing different approaches based on it. But the underlying part that connects with all of them is that they are ultimately struggling with that weakness.
Right.
And they don't know the best way to handle it. They are all trying different things, and it's just where will that direction take them. But yeah, I love Ibuki's reveal here.
Oh yeah, that was
the
great.
ED for this season really is kind of genius in that when it was first shown to us, I got immediately excited about this lion that I had no real context for other than what kind of relationship are he and Louis going to have?
I don't know, but I get the feeling it's going to break my heart.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that I don't see Louis as ever learning learning the lesson.
Yeah, I don't know why you think that.
The reason why I think that is because he's not the main character of this story.
Oh, he's totally a main character.
No. But he's not the main character.
Sure.
And the parallel that Louis and Legoshi are on is so similar, even though the details of the things that they're struggling with in their environments and things like that are different, right? Their themes are like going in parallel, I feel like.
Okay.
And I feel like at the end of the show, what's going to end up happening is that Legoshi is going to end up figuring it out, and Louis not. Or by the time Louis does, it's going to be too late or something.
No.
I don't see Louis as having a happy ending.
No, I think that they're going to be two sides of the same coin. Yeah. I think that they're going to both take the two sides of carnivore and herbivore society and change them forever in really powerful ways, where that will be because of their own internal journey and struggle that they went on.
Sure.
And they will both 100% go on the biggest self-actualization journey.
On a societal level, I absolutely think that Louis is going to get his happy ending. On a personal level, I do not think so.
See, I don't think that has anything to do with happiness, though.
You don't think the personal...
No. Self-actualization doesn't mean necessarily that he's going to have a relationship that he'll end up with where everything is just wonderfully happy. But I think it's the idea that he ended up accepting himself as to who he is.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
I would love for it to happen. I think that's what Ibuki's trying to get him to figure out. But I think when it comes right down to it, Louis is going to be too proud.
Wow. Yeah. I don't understand the doubt for Louis, but
I would love to be proven wrong. I would so love to be proven wrong, but
yeah. All right, okay. Well, hey, y'all, just remember this for later, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.